103 points to 4,287. New York oil rose $3.34 at 105.36 a barrel. With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We'll cool down to 52 degrees, have a few clouds rolling in. Now tomorrow, it's a mix of sun and clouds, the temperature reaching 80 as our high. And look into the weekend, we'll have temperatures Saturday and Sunday in the lower to mid 80s. It'll be a mix of sun and clouds with a slight 30% chance of afternoon showers both days. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Don't you forget, pressing the button can also be enjoyable for you.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblum, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network. It is Thursday. It is NFL Draft Night. It is USC Baseball Nights. We got all that to cover here on the program. And you know what? We owe you some time on the phones because we hogged it up last night. We really were heavily booked, not so heavily booked tonight. We will hear from South Carolina State football coach Buddy Pugh, 7:05. They've wrapped up spring practice, had their spring game over the weekend. They've got somebody who's going to get picked in the draft, maybe second, third round. We'll talk with him about that, find corner, and what a year they had, and they're looking to build on that national championship that they earned with the win in the Celebration Bowl over Jackson State, over Deion, and kind of put Deion in his place with an old-fashioned beatdown in Atlanta. So the phone number is 888-898-2525, 888-898-2525 is our number, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. A little bit of house cleaning to do here at the outset. A little APB action for one of our callers, Keith in Camden. We're calling you. Actually, you need to call us because we want to send you the PDF from our lads' NFL draft folks that we promised you last night, and we lost somehow between Pat's hands and my computer. We lost your email, so we can send you the link to that. So if you would, and maybe you will anyway, dial us up, and we need to get your email address again so we can get that to you. Otherwise, we're rocking and rolling tonight. Chris Bergen and Pat Daniel alongside, well, not necessarily alongside, theoretically alongside. Pat looks like he's dressed to go to a Panthers draft party tonight. Is that your plan?
That's right. It's been a tradition of mine for, you're going to laugh at me, but about 25 years now.
I mean, I really was joking, but you are going to a Panthers draft party?
Well, I'm planning to join some friends straight after the show, yes.
Dear God, why?
It's been a tradition. I wear a Panthers jersey and watch the draft. It doesn't matter how terrible they are. I will continue to support them as much as I will continue to beat my head against the wall for the decisions they make. But yes, I am very excited to watch the draft tonight. Please trade that draft pick is all I have to say. But excited to watch the draft tonight and see what happens.
Looks like last mock draft I saw from one of the mock drafters, they were pinning the Panthers down for an offensive tackle. And It doesn't look like quarterback, Chris, is going to be their thing. Maybe they'll address that some other way, but an offensive lineman, a left tackle, might be in the works for the Panthers tonight.
Well, you know, they spent so much of the draft, 2 years ago, they selected nothing but defensive players. So they've got to continue to work on that offensive side of the coin. And clearly, they need a quarterback. Regardless of what David Tepper said yesterday, Sam Darnold is not the guy. He's not the future of that franchise. They need a quarterback, but the situation is, and we touched on it last night, there isn't a quarterback in the draft that is a franchise guy, I don't think. And it's the first time, and I saw some of that mock draft stuff that you were talking about a bit earlier, 3 offensive tackles projected to go within the top 10 and no quarterbacks in the top 10. If that gives you any indication as to what kind of draft we're having this year, I think the Panthers, if they don't do what Pat's suggesting, and I'm not so sure that's not the move they should make, and that's trade out of the first round and pick up some second round, third round draft capital moving forward. But, if they do select somebody, it better not be a quarterback at number 6. It's got to be offensive tackle or move down and get out of the way, because there's just not anybody in there that you couldn't potentially trade to get a better quarterback who's on somebody else's roster right now, like, say, a Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo, in terms of his NFL experience, probably better than anybody you could select in the first 2 rounds with a quarterback coming out of college.
Yeah. So I threw out a quickie poll question, and that is, how much of the NFL draft will you watch? And I was just interested to see what people would say. And so I just threw it out there a little while ago. We've had 51 votes. So out of 51 votes, 39% say they'll watch none of it. 27.5% first round only. 19.6% just Thursday and Friday. 13.7% every sticking minute they'll watch. What camp do you fall in?
I fall in the first round only, probably. I may tune in a little bit tomorrow as well for the second and third rounds. But if you watch every stinking minute of the NFL draft, props to you. And really, if you're sitting around and watching on Saturday, what are you watching for? You're just watching for the analysis, because the 4th, 5th, and 6th and 7th rounds go so quickly. They don't even have time to go to the podium to hear from whomever they drag up there on Saturday after the commissioner has already done it, probably left Las Vegas. So I'd be stunned if people watch every stinking minute. I am surprised, and I don't buy it. 39% of our listeners don't watch any of the NFL draft. It is by far, to me, the biggest non-sporting event in sports, isn't it?
I would agree. Yeah, they have done a great job of making it into a huge event, taking it on the road, having fans there. They'll have 30, 40,000 over at in Las Vegas tonight. And what a great place to have it in Las Vegas. I mean, gosh, what's the casinos? What are they going to be doing tonight and over the next 3 days with this crowd in town? Just having a big time, spending money, betting on who's going to be picked next. It's going to be fantastic. So I enjoy the draft. I don't sit and watch it from top to bottom, but I do enjoy when I get, especially the first round, enjoy the suspense when there is suspense. And I enjoy watching, of course, what the Packers do. See if the Packers, I read one mock last night that did not have the Packers taking a receiver with either of their 2 picks. They had them taking an offensive lineman and a linebacker, saying that, that's just not the type of draft that the Packers, they don't like to draft receivers in the first round for some reason, because they feel like they can get them later, or they can get them off of a free agency or trade, or find them just, walking around out there. So that's always been a bugaboo for Aaron Rodgers, but that's how the Panthers have approached that position in recent years, Pat.
Corn, and I may be wrong with this, and Chris would love to hear your opinion. I don't think we have seen an explosion in terms of rising contract numbers, annual salaries of any position in the NFL in the last couple of years than we have at wide receiver in the last couple of months. Now, it's quarterback, left tackles, wide receivers are now very, very potentially overpaid. I don't know. I don't necessarily want to say that, but maybe a little overpaid, overvalued. My point, though, is rookie wage scale. You can get guys in the first couple of rounds of the draft and pay them their first 3, 4, 5 years way under. Look at Deebo Samuel right now. He'll be making only $3.5 million on his current contract in this upcoming year. And just look at the superstar he's become out in San Francisco. Where I'm going with this is I predict we see more wide receivers taken in the first 2 rounds tonight than potentially ever in NFL draft history. And I sincerely mean that, just because right now, if you're a GM and you're having to balance the salary cap, would you rather pay these wide receivers now a fraction, or go out and have to pay these stars exorbitant amounts, $20, $25, $30 million a year, whereas you could pay these receivers and maybe find a Deebo Samuel out there for just a couple of million?
All right, on to some other things. I know the draft's going to be dominant here over the next couple of days. But other things, got USC and Alabama baseball tonight, and South Carolina kind of in a must-win situation now. They're fighting for their SEC tournament lives as they head down the stretch of the regular season, much less an NCAA tournament situation. And Brett Thomas will start tonight for the Gamecocks. They need to get off to a good start. They have not had good starts in most of their weekend 3-game series, and the big series they've had, like Clemson and Texas, and almost all of them, they've lost that first game. They put themselves behind the 8 ball because of their pitching situation. But you know what? We talk so much about their pitching situation. Not to be outdone is their hitting situation. In SEC games only, the Gamecocks are last in the SEC in 9 different offensive categories. Now, that includes a 221 batting average.
Yeah, I was going to say batting average for sure. Probably runs scored, home runs.
Almost every offensive category that's significant. Well, they're all significant, but there are 9 in which they are last. Now, I've got the lineup for the night, and Belka's going to be in center leading off. Madden will be at first. Seitler will bat third and DH, so he's still not able to play in the field. Eister in right, hitting fourth. Wimmer is in the 5-hole at second. Horning is in left. LeCroy in third, batting 7th. Burgess catching, hitting 8th. And Michael Braswell all the way down in the 9 spot. Remember, for first half of the year, he was your leadoff guy. Now he's down in the 9-hole, playing short, and Brett Thomas will start tonight for the Gamecocks. They need a good outing from him. He does not have a record. He has worked 8 2/3 innings as he's coming back from an injury. He's allowed 8 earned runs. He's walked 7. He has struck out 12. He's given up a couple of home runs. His ERA is 8.31. But again, he's had limited work. He'll be facing Garrett McMillan, a right-hander, who is 4-3 and 3.32 ERA, 59 2/3 innings, 48 hits, 22 earned runs. He's walked 17. He's struck out 61, giving up 8 home runs. So South Carolina needs to get off to a good start. This Alabama team is an improved team, and they're a little bit ahead of South Carolina right now in the overall SEC standing. So the Gamecocks need wins to put themselves in position to be able to get in the SEC tournament. As for Clemson, the Tigers are traveling up to Louisville in what will be a huge series for them. They, too, are battling for their tournament lives as far as their league is concerned. Right now, they don't have enough wins to make the ACC tournament, but there's still work to be done. Louisville is one of those teams ahead of them. This Louisville team is still very, very good. Maybe not the power team of past Louisville teams, but they have a great speed. They hit for a high average, and they don't hit the homers. They don't hit the home runs like they have in the past, but still a very good offensive team. But Clemson goes in, Chris, on a hot streak. Max Wagner is one of the hottest hitters in the country now with 19 home runs, puts him in a tie for what would be 4th. 21 is the national leader, and one of those is a guy from Georgia Tech, and Wagner's tied with a guy from NC State with 19. He is far and away Clemson's greatest home run hitter of this season so far.
Yes, he's been terrific for them. And Monty Lee talked about last year that he just struggled to get used to the college game. And he said, though, this guy, Max Wagner, that we're seeing this year, is the kid they recruited out of high school. And he felt like we were going to have a hard time getting him into Clemson because they felt he would be drafted high enough that he wouldn't come to school. And, boy, they're certainly grateful that he has made that decision. And I don't know what happens prior to or right after the Wake Forest series, I guess. Maybe that 10-8 hold-off win on Sunday after losing a game they almost came back and won on Saturday. Maybe that flipped the switch back for them because since that Sunday win at Wake Forest when they took that series, they've been almost unbeatable, and they are scoring runs in bunches. I mean, the last 2 games alone in non-conference play, 29 runs. You're going to win a lot of games. I don't know a whole lot about college baseball field, but I know if you score 20 runs a game, you win a bunch. And right now the Tigers are doing that.
Absolutely. All right, the Braves have gotten Ronald Acuna. I cannot say his last name. Acuna. I always mispronounce it. Ronald Acuna is back. Amazing. He has come back from his ACL, I think it was. And he's going to lead off and play right field against the Cubs. And the Braves need a little bit of a spark because they're under 500 at this point in the season. Yankees beat the Orioles today 10-5 to sweep that series. Yep. Angels lead the Guardians 4-1. That's in the 8th. Padres beat the Reds 7-5. Brewers over the Pirates 3-2. Phillies over the Rockies 7-1. Marlins beat the Nationals 3-2. Rays 2, Mariners 1. Twins 7, Tigers 1. Astros 3, Rangers 2. Royals 5. White Sox 2. And the Blue Jays shut out the Red Sox. Come on, Corn, be nice. Red Sox, Blue Jays shut out the Red Sox 1-0. So it's been a great day in baseball. Yankees win, Red Sox lose. That's a perfect day in Major League Baseball. Let's go ahead and jump to some phone calls because I promised calls. Chris and Pat were rude last night, taking up so much airtime we couldn't get the calls. I tried, but sometimes they just snatch the show away from me. Ron in Lancaster. Ron, good to have you with us tonight here on Sports Talk. How are you?
Great, I'm fine. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you for calling.
I've been listening to you talk about there's not much of a quarterback that's worthy of a first round this year, but I'm just wondering what round was Tom Brady drafted in when he came into the NFL?
Hey, 7th round.
There you go.
7th round. Yeah, I mean, it
That's all I
happens.
gotta say.
Oh, yeah.
It happens. I mean, heck, back in the day, Bart Starr was 17th round, which was last back in that era. So, yeah, you're right. You listen, how many teams passed on Aaron Rodgers? I know he was a first rounder, but he didn't fall until like pick 25, 26, something like that. So it's a crapshoot.
Yeah,
it really is a crapshoot.
How many first round quarterbacks have just fizzled out the first couple of years?
Quite a few.
Yep.
Quite a few. So would you, if you were a general manager, would you take one of these quarterbacks with a first round pick and say the first 10 picks?
I probably would, yes. We need a quarterback. Let's get one.
Who would you take?
Probably the one from Wake Forest. Is that?
No, he's not coming out.
Yeah.
He's got another year. You're talking about you think about Pickett from the guy from Liberty,
yeah.
Malik Willis.
Yeah. Yep.
He's impressed a lot of people.
He's a difference maker, I think. I don't know that I would take him in the top 10. And to be clear, the what I was saying earlier is there will be quarterbacks taken in the first round. I just don't think there'll be anybody selected in the top 10, top 15. That's the kind of quarterback draft I think we have this year.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
got.
Thank you. Yeah, man, good hearing from you. Keep in touch. Kenny Pickett is the guy that, of course, from Pittsburgh, who has been analyzed and scrutinized. Hands are too small, has great numbers coming out of college. I mean, I love Matt Corral. Just watching him in person. Now, what do I know? I was the only guy in America to say you better take Deebo Samuel in the first round. I mean, what do I know about talent? You know, I said, you're an idiot if you don't take Deebo Samuel in the first round. Maybe you could say the same thing about I love Matt Corral's game. You know, He's got a great arm. He's mobile. He's got good size. I don't know what else you're looking for, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with these quarterbacks. Quarterbacks have become such a finicky. They're like left-handed pitchers now. They're just a finicky group. You know, they demand and command so much attention. Remember when they used to tell you, let your son grow up to be a left-handed pitcher? But now let your son grow up to be a quarterback because you can't touch them. They hardly ever get hit, and they make gazillions.
Or a left tackle.
They get hit a lot.
but they're so valuable to the NFL. I mean, that is the one position. If you don't have a good one, it's fairly obvious you don't have a good one. And the quarterback will be the first person to tell you. And you may actually come back and your prediction not being correct, Phil, may actually work to your advantage. If the Packers are going to sit and not take a wide receiver, wonder if they're working the backroom deals here to try and get Debo pried out of San Francisco. So maybe
that would not make me sad. That would not make me sad. Pat has given me my first correction of the night. 6th round on Brady, not 7th. I was just kind of over-exaggerating. I knew it was 6th.
Either way.
I just like busting your chops.
Either way, it doesn't matter.
First mistake of the night. Let's go to Ed in Honeypath. Hello, Ed. Welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Thanks for getting me in. Look, I hate to interrupt your NFL talk.
No, it's okay.
I've been a lifelong Cardinals fan, and of course they had the big brawl with the Mets yesterday over throwing. They threw at our guy's head. I don't know if it was intentional or not. They were mad because we hit their guy in the head the previous day. But I'm not looking at this as, it didn't seem really intentional to me in either case. They're playing with new baseballs. They haven't had the spring training. It was delayed, the whole 9 yards, and it's kind of been a mess. But I think this is going to be a brawl between the Cardinals and the Mets all year long. Now, what will MLB do? Start suspending players? Because I can tell you, it's not over between these two teams. They dislike each other. They already had. And now this just makes things worse. And I really do think it's got as much to do with the balls and the lack of pitching preseason as anything. What do you guys think about that?
Excellent points. Yeah, I was listening to New York radio yesterday afternoon when all that was going down, and it was a big stink between the Cardinals and the Mets. The Cardinals won that game yesterday to salvage, I think, a game in that series. The Mets had been going pretty well. I like the Mets team. I hope Andy's not listening because that will encourage him to call. Maybe he'll wait for a corn-free Friday to follow in. But I do like the Mets. You got Scherzer. You got pitching. Pete Alonso. Good gosh, he's a great power hitter. I don't really follow the Mets that closely. Being a Yankees guy, try to ignore the Mets. But they are. I'll tell you the main thing. They've got Buck Showalter. And I love Buck Showalter, just a winner. Even with the Orioles, he managed to somehow make the Orioles competitive during his time there to some degree. So that's a bonus for you right there. You got one of the best managers to ever sit in the dugout. So, yeah, I think the Mets are going to be there for the long haul, barring any kind of sustained injuries.
Well, I don't want them there as being a Cardinals fan. And by the way, Phil, I hate the Yankees. That's the only thing my dad pulled for in baseball, for them to lose 100 games every year.
What the Yankees ever do to your dad? Cut him? Did they cut him from the farm system?
He got mad because it was really the only team he could ever see on TV back in his day.
Right.
When dinosaurs roamed the earth. And I was at the end of that, so I get it.
That's because CBS owned the Yankees, and they put the Yankees on every Saturday. I loved it.
That's exactly. Well, I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
So did half of America because that was the team that was on. I was a Cardinals fan primarily because of Lou Brock. And I never looked back. Of course, back then the Braves were losing 100 games a year, so go figure. But anyway, I'm hoping they'll do something. And look, if the Mets get DeGrom back, I agree with you. I don't see how anybody's going to stop that thing they got going down there. But anywho, thanks for getting me in.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate your phone call.
Ed. And by the way, part of the reason they had the bench clearing brawl yesterday, there were 8 batters hits in that series between the two teams. Something's got to give sooner or later. And that's the one thing Major League Baseball does. It's much like the NHL. You keep, cross-checking one of the top players in the league, the NHL will take care of itself. The referees don't necessarily have to. I'm guessing this will probably carry over until the next series, and the umpires will be on high alert. But he brought up an interesting point, Phil, and I've heard other experts and analysts talk about this. It's not the shortened spring training. I think that may have something to do with it. But there were actually players, or at least analysts, who believe that getting rid of the foreign substance on the baseball was not necessarily a good thing. Because as he pointed out, I can't remember who it was, but when he stepped inside the box, he wanted to make sure that a pitcher throwing 95 miles per hour had full control of the baseball. He didn't necessarily mind if he had a little extra grip, because he'd much prefer that and maybe a strikeout of a breaking ball that falls, 5 feet from top to bottom versus having the ball fly out of his hand and hit him in the head. So there may actually be some truth to the fact that the policing of foreign substances on the baseball causes 8 batters to get hit in a single series.
Well, I tell you what, the baseball fans in New York right now enjoying the start of this baseball season, the month of April, between the Yankees and the Mets. You have got a combined total of 27 wins, 14 for the Mets, 13 for the Yankees, each leading their respective division. Yankees have the best record in the American League, and the Mets have the best record in the National League. Yeah, it's a long season, but you know what? You'd rather be on top in April looking down at people than having to climb over people. But it is a long season. Injuries and things like that, hot streaks, there's going to be losing streaks. I'm just saying it's rare here in recent years where the Yankees and Mets, you can go back to the year they met in the World Series, but it's been rare when both of them have been at the top of their divisions this early, and you got the city of New York buzzing about baseball. Thank you for your phone call. We will continue with calls in just a moment. Couple of lines are open. We would love to hear from you. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number here on Sports Talk. Buddy Pugh coming up at 7:05, and we're going to get to that David Tepper audio we didn't get to last night. It's still good, right? It hasn't aged. We'll get to that as well, and we'll be back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We'll cool down to 52 degrees, have a few clouds rolling in. Now, tomorrow, it's a mix of sun and clouds, the temperature reaching 80 as our high. And look into the weekend, we'll have temperatures Saturday and Sunday in the lower to mid-80s. It'll be a mix of sun and clouds with a slight 30% chance of afternoon showers both days. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
When you think about spring, good stuff springs to mind. You know, like spring break. Woohoo! A friend springing for drinks.
Thanks, dude.
A spring in your step. Spring fever. Oh, behave. And best of all, spring water dough pizza from the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers.
Yeah, baby.
Experience the taste of spring with our amazing hand-tossed pies, spring fresh salads, and over 100 beers from around the world. Enjoy spring at the Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
The thing about me taking it is I am super healthy to begin with. I don't have any medical problems whatsoever. But I can tell you what I did notice was my hair, my skin, and my nails. They're even better. That is definitely noticeable. But I think the main thing I could say for it, and the reason I keep taking it, is because it keeps me healthy. I mean, I'm sold on it and I'll always take it because it just keeps me in a healthy state.
Get a wide variety of all your daily recommended servings of whole fruits and vegetables without having to leave your home. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code BALANCE.
Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
You've seen the news. You've talked to your friends. You may have even looked around yourself. Home prices are nuts. Seems like no one is offering any kind of discount except Lexington Discount Homes. Discount is their middle name. Quality homes that fit your budget with the size, model, and floor plan that your family needs. You can still afford your dream home at Lexington Discount Homes. Augusta Highway near Ballpark Road, 803-951-1900 or LexingtonDiscountHomes.com.
If you're like me, you're sick and tired of seeing these old TV stars, game show hosts, these athletes telling you how to save money on your Medicare and on your health insurance. These national toll-free numbers are overwhelming us. It's not that people don't need the service. They need good local customer service, not big box toll-free numbers. See, I work directly with Tim Hanberry right here at Medicare Blueprint in the Midlands. When it comes to my family, I want the best family plan. I'm not even on Medicare, but my mom is. So here's what I do want. Someone local to serve as my advisor on the plans and choices that I have, and someone to help mom with her Medicare. I want someone to help me pick the right plan, save me as much money as possible by knowing all the rules of the game. Medicare Blueprint starts the process with you. They will see it through. They answer all your questions. They call you back. It's the same folks helping you start to finish. Tim and his team are independent. They fight for you, not the insurance company. Online, it's MedicareBlueprint.com or call them 708-7398.
Everyone knows that here at The Point, we are all about supporting local businesses. We are all about local, local, local. You cannot get more local than my friend Greg McCoy and his business, Simplified Mortgage Solutions. Fran Halloran here. If you're buying a home or you're looking to refinance your current home, you owe it to yourself to call Greg. He is the real deal. You can expect Greg to treat you like you are his only client. You can expect Greg to scour the market to find you the best rate available. You can expect Greg to charge you a fair price for his work and his service. Why would you deal with some national company headquartered in who knows where when you can do business with Greg? Need further persuasion? Okay. I didn't even mention the good Greg does in our community by supporting local charities like Blue Star Mothers and Camp Chemo. Come on. You need to call Greg. Online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com, or you can call Greg at 803-722-6044. That's 722-6044.
I got 2 NFL draft trivia questions for you. Who wants to take them on? No cheating, no Googling. Who wants to take them on?
Go for it, Chris.
Is this a generic who wants in terms of our listeners or just Pat and myself?
Yeah, let's
Throw
it out there for the listeners. Throw it out for the listeners. Okay, here we go.
All right, then I'll wait for them.
There are 5 colleges tied for having the most number 1 picks in the history of the NFL draft. And they are tied with 5. They've had 5 number 1 overall draft choices. And there are 4 colleges, not 5. 4 colleges, each have had 5 number 1 picks, the number 1 pick in the draft. Can you name them? The second one, and we were talking about running backs. The second trivia question is as follows, and that is dealing with running backs in the NFL draft. When was the last year that a running back was taken with the number 1 pick? And who was that running back and where did he go? Anybody touch those? 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. Tell you what, if anybody gets one of those right, we'll send you the PDF of the Our Lads NFL guide and get it to you probably tomorrow if we don't forget your email address. But it's still very useful and loaded with information.
You know, and the reason we brought up the running backs, I was mentioning to Phil and Pat during the break. When's the last time you can remember an NFL draft in which throughout the entire first round, not the first overall pick, but the entire first round, that a running back was not selected? And if there are mock drafts to be believed, this may happen tonight. There may not be a running back taken off the board in the first round of the draft. And Phil, I think it speaks to the way the game has totally changed, where a running back is not that big a deal anymore. You need wide receivers more so, and maybe big tight ends who can run more so than you need a running back.
Well, the most popular positions of the last, say, 10 years with the first pick in the draft, quarterback and defensive end. Yep. Quarterback has been the number 1 pick, 21, 20, 19, 18, 16, 15, and 12. Defensive ends, number 1 in 17 and 14. There hasn't been a number 1 pick for wide receiver since 1996.
Keyshawn Johnson?
Yes, very good. But we're wondering who was the last running back pick number 1. You know, George Rogers in 1981 was the number 1 pick in the draft out of USC. And there's only been 2 others since him picked number 1 in the draft at running back.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So if you know that, or if you can answer the other one, the 4 schools tied with 5 number 1 overall selections in the draft. Let's go to Bruce in Columbia next with us here on Sports Talk. Bruce, welcome in. How are you?
Well, thank you, Phil, for taking my call tonight.
Yes, sir.
Got to give you a little gift here. I was watching the spring game for Carolina. I just got to see, a little bit of it. And, the quarterback was pretty good, I think, Rappner. Doty did a good job, but I'm telling you, I'm very interested in that freshman quarterback y'all got brought in here that had all the number one standings in high school.
You're talking about Braden Davis?
He looks like a Matthew Stafford. Give him the summer, part of the fall. I guarantee you he's going to be playing some ball games.
You talking about Braden Davis, the freshman?
The one that's he was number one quarterback in high school. The young one. I don't know his name.
Yeah, I mean he was the top quarterback in his state, and I mean he was a pretty highly recruited, highly ranked quarterback. I don't think he wasn't number one in the country, but but pretty highly regarded. That's probably who you're talking about, Braden Davis. Uh-huh.
Now the other part is, you were naming off all the great players from Carolina, throughout history. Now I'm going to tell you the number one player that came out of Carolina. When Brett Favre tells Sterling Sharp to run down the sideline to the goal line as fast as you can, and they're on the 30 or between the 30 and 25-yard line on the opposite end of the field, I'm going to roll out to the other side of the ball field, and I'm going to throw the pass to you. And he was in an interview telling us this story. He said the only guy in the NFL could ever do anything like that and catch the ball was Sterling Sharp, and he caught the ball. That's your player.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, Sterling was fantastic. He was fantastic.
I watched him play. I was on the field with him taking photographs of him when he was at Clemson.
Mm-hmm. He was quite the athlete. Yeah, he was a fantastic athlete, a great golfer, and he was smooth. He was great with the media. Obviously went on to have a great but shortened NFL career. Too bad he had the shoulder spine issue there that cost him his career when he was still young. I mean, he could have probably doubled had he stayed healthy and continued his career. He probably would have doubled his numbers over time, Yeah, hard to not pick Sterling as the greatest receiver. This goes back to our conversation earlier in the week, naming the reason I brought that up. I was just citing, in my opinion, that most of your greatest Gamecock football players were homegrown from the state.
Right.
With exception, like Sterling, if you wanted to say Sterling's the greatest receiver, he's a Georgia guy. Mm-hmm. Some could come back and say, well, Brian Edwards is the all-time leading receiver. He's from Conway. So you can make that argument, but it's hard to pick against Sterling. It really is hard to pick against Sterling. Hard to pick against Connor Shaw as the greatest quarterback. Hard to pick against George Rogers, the greatest running back. Willie Scott, probably the greatest tight end in Gamecock football history, I would say. Newberry, first-round draft pick, NFL career, outstanding in college. Hard to pick against him. And, hey, I was just throwing that out there the other day, just talking about recruiting and how it seems to me that when South Carolina has their best teams, that much of their starting lineup is made up of local guys. And, you look at their defense. You look at their defense for next year. Much of their defensive line will be South Carolina boys. Mm-hmm. Birch, Huntley, Pickens. That should be three of your starters on your defensive line, all South Carolina guys. Johnson at linebacker would be another. Cam Smith from Blythe would be another. I mean, their defense is going to have a very strong state of South Carolina flavor to it, to say the least. We go to Aaron Ray. Aaron Ray in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Hey. Not only is it a new caller, it's a woman. Oh, we're so lucky. We are so lucky. How are you? Good to have you with us. What can we do for you?
I am here with my husband, and we were going to try and guess on the trivia questions, one of them.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, so for the number one picks for the four schools that tied,
yes,
our guesses were USC, Michigan, Ohio State, and Alabama.
No. You're off. You're off quite a bit. You're off quite a bit. Let me go back here and pull that up.
USC sounds right, though.
Well, when you say USC, oh, you mean
Southern
Southern Cal.
Oh yeah, I know y'all are probably thinking I mean South Carolina, but yeah.
No.
Southern
We
California.
knew what you meant. We're not that
Okay.
stupid, but we do like the Gamecocks to be referred to as USC. Let me see. You said, give me your picks again.
So we had.
You got one of them. I'll give you Southern Cal. You got one of them.
All right.
Yeah. You want to take a shot at the other, the running back?
We were guessing like 2002 or 2003, but we don't have a name. So.
No, you're about 15 years off. 10 years off.
Okay.
10 years.
All right.
Thank
We
you,
didn't
though.
fare too well, but appreciate y'all taking our call.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you calling. Thank you for listening. Up in Charlotte.
Cool.
Yes, indeed.
Well, hey,
Did
cool.
not want to talk
got
about the
one of the
Panthers.
got one of the four. Got one of the four.
If we may, if you're still there, if you're in Charlotte, just curious if you and your boyfriend are
Husband.
husband are Panthers fans, and who you'd like to see them take in the first round tonight with that number 6 pick, or what you'd like them to do with that pick.
I'm from St. Louis actually, so I've kind of just stopped watching NFL because I'm just totally burned on it.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
That stunk when they moved the Cardinals.
Oof.
And the Rams.
And the Rams.
That's right. Yeah. Forgot about them. And the Browns. What? No, the Browns were always Cleveland. Wasn't there a St. Louis Browns or something? A St. Louis.
Yeah, St. Louis Browns, which they're the Orioles now, I believe.
That was
So,
baseball back in the day. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
St. Louis is too nice a city to be trampled on like that.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there.
Yeah. I was there for, I went into downtown St. Louis last November when I went out to cover South Carolina, Missouri football. And I went over to Busch Stadium and went to a barbecue place right in downtown St. Louis called, I want to say it was something like Bolivia. You ever heard of it? Bogarts? Bolivia, Bogarts, something like that.
No.
I can't
No,
remember.
I haven't heard of those.
It was really good.
All right.
It was a hole in the wall, but it was good.
I'm glad to hear that. I am more partial to the St. Louis style barbecue than I am the Carolina style. So.
Well, now, when you say Carolina style, the North Carolina style or the South Carolina style? They're two different styles.
Oh, okay. See, I'm more familiar with the North Carolina style, but I don't know how they're different.
Well, the North Carolina style is more of the vinegar, right? In North Carolina,
Yeah.
And South Carolina, we're more of the tomato, the heavy red stuff, I guess, or yellow stuff, So, well, thank you very much. We do appreciate your phone call.
Take my call.
Yep. Thanks for listening.
She was outstanding, but she's going to get run out of the state of North Carolina.
We
starting
should,
to
you
talk
know what?
barbecue
If she calls back, she sounds like a great football fan. If she calls back, we'll send her a copy of the Our Lads draft guide. I'm sorry if you're still listening. Call back, give us your email, and we'll send you a copy. Get you a copy of the draft guide. I'm sure you can cuddle up with it at night and impress your
she
friends.
may not, though. Remember, she said she sort of burned out on the NFL because they keep stealing her team.
That's true.
From St. Louis.
That's true. Let me go ahead and answer the questions. I don't want to drag it out. So she got
May I take a
one.
stab
She
at
got
the
Southern
four?
Cal. Yeah, go ahead. She got Southern Cal.
All right, Oklahoma's got to be one of them.
It is. That's two.
Um,
The other two. One is extremely easy. The other one will surprise you.
Texas?
Negative.
LSU?
Double negative.
Wow.
Chris, I'll take a shot if you're finished. I think the one that Phil was alluding to as being obvious, Notre Dame has to be up there. Just
Notre
the amount
Dame.
of great players they've had. And then
trying
to think who in recent years. You already said Oklahoma. So you've said Oklahoma, Southern Cal, and now Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth one is what is tricky. I'm trying to think of schools that have had a lot. And just within the SEC in recent years, I'm thinking LSU, Georgia, or Auburn, one of those.
Auburn.
How about that?
Auburn.
Wow.
Cam Newton. Andre Bruce. Remember Andre Bruce, the Falcons? Bo Jackson. Tucker Fredrickson, the great Tucker Fredrickson. 1965 to the Giants. And Ken Rice in 1961. So Auburn has 5. Notre Dame has 5, including Paul Hornung. And Oklahoma has 5. Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Sam Bradford, Billy Sims, and Leroy Selman.
Stanford has to be up on that list pretty high, too.
And then the other one, I just lost it. I was going to read you the other lists. Here we go. The other, Southern Cal. Southern Cal has not had a number one pick since 2003. Carson Palmer, then Keyshawn, Ricky Bell, OJ, and Ron Yeri. Now, the other trivia question, I'll give y'all 30 seconds to come up with the answer. The last running back taken number one in the draft. You got 20 seconds.
And Aaron Ray you told her she was 15 years off from 2003, I think is what she said.
No, I over-exaggerated that.
Oh, okay.
She was 8
I'm just
years
trying
old.
to figure. So
You got 10 seconds. You got 5 seconds.
Reggie Bush.
Negative. Kejana Carter, Cincinnati
Wow.
Bengals.
Okay, yeah, from Penn State.
1995. Yeah. All right. Hey, fun
Wow.
with the draft here on
That's
Sports
good
Talk.
stuff.
We have fun with the draft here on Sports Talk. The Panthers have only 6 picks in the draft. So it'll go quickly and slowly for them. They'll have a first-round pick, then they'll wait a little while. The Packers have 11. Packers have the second most picks in the draft. The teams with the most picks in the draft will have 12 picks. And I'll go back and look that up. I just know the Packers have 11, so we'll have a busy 3 days as a Packer fan. We're coming back with the collegiate form of the draft, at least for now. It's called recruiting.
There was just a lack of Black women, business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives. Growing up, I didn't see that. I figured out that I wanted to be a photographer for women of color. I found my niche and I'm sticking to it.
Each year, the South Carolina Education Lottery raises millions of dollars for scholarships and grants that help students prepare for their dream career. Just like Kristen, your passion is our purpose.
Sports fans, are you in it to win it? Join South Carolina's fight against COVID-19 by getting your vaccine today. Vaccines are safe and will help stabilize school operations by bringing us back together safely. The CDC recommends everyone 5 years and older get vaccinated. Visit scdhec.gov/VaxLocator or call 866-365-8110 to find a vaccination station near you.
Parents ask, what's the best way to save for college? I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, and my answer is always open a Future Scholar 529 college savings account. It's easy. You can get started online with any amount. It's flexible to adapt to your child's college dreams. And you can deduct 100% of your contributions from the South Carolina state tax return. So what are you waiting for? Go to futurescholar.com and see why it's the smart, easy way to save for college. Futurescholar.com.
The lady in black doesn't age. She just gets tougher. And NASCAR Throwback Weekend is when she likes to remind everyone just how they got here. Loud cars and louder colors, business up front and parties in the back. Over 70 years of history held together with one famous black stripe. Too tough to tame? I guess you'll have to find out. Darlington Throwback Weekend, May 6th through the 8th. Get your tickets at darlingtonraceway.com.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I love sports, and I've helped people for over 30 years. Contact me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com when the insurance company won't pay your claim or you have complicated issues. Some other business causes your business to lose money, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. When you lose a relative and find out you got cut out of a will or don't get what was promised. When you have serious injury, like from a wreck or mishap or on the job, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
All right, time for recruiting here on this Thursday night, brought to you by Seawells. We encourage you when you're in town, hope our new friends in Charlotte are paying attention, when you're in Columbia and you're looking for a great place to eat, you want to get to Seawells for their daily luncheon buffet every day, Monday through Friday, 11 till 2, and tomorrow, Friday, a very, very special day. Tell them why.
our second roast beef day of the week. The week was bookended Monday and Friday with carved roasted sirloin of beef, along with southern fried chicken and fried fish nuggets. And then, of course, that goes along with all the fixings you can handle, salad and dessert.
Wow.
Hey,
Get to it.
Does Seawell's deliver like outside of the 803 area code?
Well, I mean, if you've got an event to cater, they'll come to you. Why, you got
I'm
something you
not
want them to cater?
Yeah, my lunch.
I think you got to do something a little more pricey than the lunch
Okay.
to get the
I was
cater,
just-
to get
just
the
hoping.
to get the treatment, on the spot. Okay, but do not
All right,
forget
fair
about
enough.
them as caterers as well, because they've been doing it for over 70 years and they are stupendous in the catering business. You need information and you need their help. 803-771-7385 is the number. Online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. So, in the recruiting world for you tonight, USC's in the top 5 with defensive tackle Joel Starlings of Richmond. Others on his short list are Virginia, Oklahoma, West Virginia, and North Carolina. He has set an official to USC for October 22nd. He will visit North Carolina in late May. He's already set officials with Oklahoma and West Virginia for the first 2 weekends in June. USC target quarterback Dylan Lonergan of Snellville, Georgia, has set his official with the Gamecocks for June 10th. He announced last Friday his short list of 5 schools that will get his official visits. The others are Stanford, Ohio State, Alabama, and Florida, along with USC. He's also a major baseball prospect who is projected to be a first-round pick in the summer of 2023. USC handed out some new offers. Defensive end David Hobbs, 6'6", 240, out of Concord, North Carolina. Linebacker Cameron Robinson.
Whoa. Did you say Concord, North Carolina?
Yes, sir.
It's Concord.
No,
right?
sir. It's
Yes, sir.
Concord.
It is Concord.
Concord, North Carolina.
The
Cameron
Concord one is up in, what, Massachusetts, New
Well, I
Hampshire, somewhere
grew
that
up
way?
in Massachusetts, so
Yes.
yeah. That's after I moved from New York City. So Cameron Robinson of Essex, Virginia. Get that one right? 6'2", 215, linebacker. 2025 offensive tackle Mason Short, 6'5", 280 of Evans, Georgia. And 2026 defensive back Jeray Edwards, 6'1", 194 of Largo, Maryland, all with USC commitments. USC target linebacker Samaj Bridgman was offered by Alabama. 2024 quarterback Jaden Davis, who's a USC Clemson target, was offered by Oklahoma. Place kicker punter Ian Williams is transferring from NC State to Furman. And some other football as far as short lists. Gamecocks in the top 5 with safety Zabari Sandy of Washington. The others, West Virginia, Ole Miss, Maryland, and Tennessee. He plans to announce on May 8th his teammate David Ojibi, the defensive end, committed to Clemson yesterday. Clemson is in the top 7 with safety Braxton Myers of Coppell, Texas. Others are Southern Cal, Auburn, LSU, Arkansas, and Ole Miss. He plans to announce on May 16th. Also with Clemson, they're one of the 6 teams left for safety Dakari Nelson, 6'3", 200 after he cut his list earlier in the week. Others still on the board are Penn State, Kentucky, Tennessee, Oregon, and Auburn. And those not making the cut from his previous short list of 11 were Florida State, UCF, Texas, Texas A&M, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. Among his other offers were USC, Kansas, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Duke, Michigan, Cincinnati, Missouri, NC State, and Jackson State. He went to Clemson for a junior day mid-January, and the family was with him, and it really resonated with him. The family feel at Clemson, he said. He liked how the coaching staff is humble despite their success. He and safeties coach Mickey Kahn have developed a close relationship. He likes the way Kahn coaches his players and develops his players, so that's all important to him. He has also visited Tennessee, Florida State, and Ole Miss in the spring. He has set an official with Penn State for June 10th and will take 1 or 2 more in the summer and the rest in the fall. And the key thing here for Clemson is they're going to get the last official visit during the season. And he also wants to get back to Clemson this summer. And Clemson will need those visits to make up some ground because Nelson said right now his number 1 team is Penn State. He had 8 interceptions last season, returning a pair for touchdowns. He also was in on 72 tackles. And in basketball, Wofford transfer 6'3" Max Klesmet reportedly will visit Wisconsin this weekend. He is from Wisconsin. He announced the top 4 earlier this month of USC, Clemson, Vanderbilt, and Colorado State. And Clemson is on the short list with 6'6" South Dakota State transfer Baylor Shireman. He should go to Baylor. His name is Baylor. Baylor Shireman. Last season, he averaged 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. That is the recruiting report for tonight. Better than the NFL draft. What if we did recruiting like nonstop for 6 hours and then did it for 3 days?
Here's a greater
nonstop,
question.
6 hours.
What if there was an NFL draft type way to select your players for college football?
And I've often thought about that. But you know what? It's supposed to be about academics. You can't tell a kid where to go to school for academics, can you? But, I mean, yeah, that would be a nice, simple way to do it. We'll be back. Buddy Pugh.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. The House has passed a military lend-lease bill to speed aid to the country of Ukraine.
On this vote, the yeas are 417 and the nays are 10. The bill is passed.
The House has passed legislation that would streamline a military lend-lease program for Ukraine and other Eastern European countries. The bill is an update of World War II-era legislation signed into law by President Franklin D. Roosevelt to help allies fight Nazi Germany. The bipartisan bill was months in the making, first introduced in January, at the time part of the U.S. effort to deter and warn off Russian aggression toward Ukraine. Earlier Thursday, the Biden administration announced it will seek another $30 billion from Congress in military and humanitarian aid for Ukraine, on top of the nearly $14 billion Congress approved last month. Mike Gracia, Washington.
President Biden's low approval ratings are playing a role in Democrats' strategy heading toward the midterm election.
Intra-party disagreement centers on just how much of President Biden's agenda to try and enact before the midterms. At issue, just how bold to be about embracing the president's most controversial priorities, expanding Medicare, expanding the child tax credit, and his disdain for domestic oil production, all as more Americans are blaming the White House for soaring fuel prices and inflation. Polls from Ipsos, Morning Consult, YouGov, and Rasmussen all show the president's approval rating hovering just above 40%. Bob Agnew reporting.
The Oklahoma House has given final approval to a Texas-style abortion ban that prohibits abortion after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. That bill passed today, and Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt is expected to sign the legislation. A good day on Wall Street as the Dow rose 614 points, the Nasdaq up by 382, the S&P 500 advancing 103. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The rescue dog had very flaky skin, dropping a lot of fur, and Levette wanted to do steroid injections. I was at a dead end.
DINOVITE.com.
Probably 6 weeks after we started using Dinovite, no more flaky skin. He doesn't scratch and itch. It was awesome.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
Every rescue dog in America deserves Dinovite for 90 days.
DINOVITE.com.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful in lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question. Pete and Seth Talbot, the father and son founders of Relief Factor, tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, 100% drug-free ingredients that each help your body deal with inflammation. Order the 3-week quick start now. Discount it to only $19.95 to see if it will work for you too. Call 800-500-8384. ReliefFactor.com.
Indonesia, the world's largest producer of palm oil, has banned its export.
Indonesian President Joko Widodo says he will revoke the export ban only when the needs of the Indonesian people are fulfilled. A shortage of cooking oil has sparked street protests in Indonesia in recent weeks and the government has been under pressure to act. The export ban on both crude and refined palm oil will have global implications. The export ban comes at a time when edible oils are already in short supply due to extreme weather and Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
BBC correspondent Rebecca Henschke reporting. Arkansas is suing Family Dollar over the discovery of 1,000 rodents in a distribution facility in the state that prompted the discount retail chain to recall items purchased from hundreds of stores in the South. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We'll cool down to 52 degrees, have a few clouds rolling in. Now tomorrow, it's a mix of sun and clouds, the temperature reaching 80 as our high. And look into the weekend, we'll have temperatures Saturday and Sunday in the lower to mid 80s. It'll be a mix of sun and clouds with a slight 30% chance of afternoon showers both days. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, and fireplaces. Spring Sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Come on, hit it. Do it. You know you want to.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network. Here on this Thursday night, Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Draft night. We've been talking about the draft, of course. Also a good time to continue talking about football in the state of South Carolina and spring practices gradually being wrapped up by teams across the state. Talked to Todd Knight from over at Newberry the other night. And tonight we turn our attention to South Carolina State Bulldogs defending HBCU national champions. And we welcome in the coach, Buddy Pugh, to Sports Talk. Also big for them because the draft, there is likely to be another Bulldog taken relatively early in the draft. Coach, good to have you with us tonight. How are you?
Thanks, Phil. Good to be with you guys.
Well, first of all, let's talk about your spring game. Offense beat the defense 21-13, the annual Garnet and Blue spring game. What did you think of the performance and the play of your team overall in the spring? Did you pick up where you left off in the fall?
I think we did. Our offense played a little bit better in that game than I thought they would. We played a lot of our young guys, and Corey Fields, our starting quarterback, got banged up a little bit early this week, so we didn't have him available for the game. But we played the Singleton kid from down at I'm sitting there going blank down at St. George, and he came in and played well. And then Tyrese Nick is back. So Tyrese had been out with a torn Achilles, the quarterback that played for us a couple of years back from over Strom Thurmond. So we got him back. So I thought our offense played really well. We're pretty good up front, the offensive line, and most of those guys returned. We got 4 to 5 starters back there. And then our wide receivers are pretty good. Coach, so we didn't play the top guys in that group, but those guys are really good, I think, coming back. So we think, Phil, we got a chance to be pretty good because we returned pretty much most of that team from last year.
Well, now you've just given every Bulldog fan in the state a heart attack. You talk about Corey Fields being a little bit banged up. I mean, that's just that's terminology for not really seriously hurt or anything.
Let's hope. He had a little bit of a sprained ankle, so it's not real bad. And Corey's kind of, one of those guys who wants to go all the time. Would have probably played if it had been a regular game. So, we just held him out because it was a spring game. And we wanted really to go through most of the spring trying to develop some depth on our team. We felt like we had really good frontline personnel returning. And I didn't want to take much of a chance. Those guys have played so much football in the last year. We had the spring. The previous year, we actually played the 4 ball games, and then we right back at it and played a full season all the way through the bowl game, and then we back to spring practice. So we were trying to really work to develop most of the young guys, so we didn't play hardly any of the really frontline guys in that spring game.
So before he got a little bit banged up with the ankle, how was Corey looking in spring ball?
He was doing good. He's always a little bit up and down. We'd like for him to be a little more accurate, but I can tell you that he's a fantastic all-around player. He runs our team, with the precision that he knows exactly where he's supposed to be going most of the time, and he does his his general little bit of athletic kind of stuff from time to time. So I like Corey to be one of the top quarterbacks in this division this coming year.
So coming off that great win, great season that you had, and you did play a lot of football in a short amount of time. I know your guys were happy to get a break and get off their legs, but did you sense the energy, the hunger in the spring that the guys want to come together and do it again in 22?
I think we did. They had a wonderful time, with the success that they had the previous season. And, I thought they were excited as all get out to get back out there and get going again. So, it was fun for a while. We got about 10 practices in. It started to stagnate a little bit. We wanted to kind of get it over with. But I can tell you that this group of guys, is all into it. And, with the young guys that we ended up practicing a good bit throughout the process, the guys who got a chance to really develop some that we need down the road a piece, I thought it worked out to be a good mixture, for our spring practice.
South Carolina State head football coach Buddy Pugh with us here tonight on Sports Talk, recapping the Bulldogs spring practice. And, Coach, this is almost old hat for anyone at SC State to have someone selected to go play in the NFL. But Phil was talking about Jacoby Durant a little bit earlier, the MEAC Defensive Player of the Year. When he is drafted, what is that NFL team that selects him? What kind of player are they getting?
Well, they're getting a real physical, hard-nosed guy. I think the game has gotten so spread out now that you got to be able to tackle one-on-one out in space. And he's definitely that. He's physical as all get out. And, when he minimizes, the damage on, on those kind of balls that are, out in the, space somewhere, then that really makes a big, big difference, in whether or not teams convert or not. So, about half of the yardage is yak yardage after the catch. And, he's the guy that kind of counteracts that. So that's been his real forte. And the fact that, that he's been from the very, very beginning when he got here, extremely, extremely physical, I think that's been, kind of his real selling point.
Not sure there's a coach in our state that knows South Carolina any better than you do. You actually got Jacoby going the junior college route, but he comes from Lamar. And when he's selected to be the sixth player out of the city of Lamar to go to the NFL, which is just remarkable to me. Coach, what is it about that town? Is there something in the water? How do they continually produce so many talented football players?
You know what? I don't know. And we got another couple guys on our team. We got Jablonski Green coming along next year that I think will be maybe the top guy in our league this coming year. And he's supposedly got another couple years to go. But the Kobe had another year or so too that he could get out of this deal, and he's out and gone. I think Jablonski might be the same guy. So you look back to some of the Hamlin boys play for us. There's just so many guys from that area. I think they just kind of take it real seriously over there. They got some good genes
and good coaching,
and
good coaching too. You're right.
Yeah, they've had one good coach after another come through there for as long as I can remember. A couple more minutes with SC State coach Buddy Pugh. What are you hearing on Durant and the draft? When and where do you think he might fall?
You know what? I've got no clue. And, he says that he thinks maybe some of the teams out west and that kind of stuff, they've been, seemingly the most interested. But I can tell you that I never know. And I thought Darius would go maybe around the third or fourth round. He was the first player picked by the Colts in the second round. I think this guy may go somewhere in the mid to late third to fourth round, somewhere in that neck of the woods. But you know what? Whenever he goes, he'll be fine. The one thing that will impress him is his toughness once he gets there. ain't no back down on that guy. So he'll be all right when he gets there.
Yeah, I mean, one thing the pros must know about players that come out of your program or came out before you with Coach Jeffries. I mean, when they pick one, they're getting somebody that's probably going to make a team and stick for a while.
You're right. Our guys have traditionally done a nice job of being able to play the game the way it's supposed to be played at that level once they get there. So they know when they get a South Carolina State guy, that he's generally about what they saw on film.
So when you reflect on the spring and everything that you went through, what concerns you looking ahead to the fall? Even though a bunch of your team is returning, is there an area or two that needs to be improved greatly going into next fall?
Well, there's always, a place or two. We don't have a long snapper in spring ball at all. And we got a guy that might be able to come back and go.
That's like Vince Dooley complaining about his punter back in the day, when he had those great teams and all he could complain about was his punt. If all you've got to complain about is your deep snapper, look out.
Well, what about the schedule? Let's talk about going to Central Florida and going to Carolina. We got more schedule. In the first 3 games, we go Central Florida, back to Bethune-Cookman, take a week off, and then go play at Carolina. So I can tell you that schedule ain't a doggone farce at all. I guarantee.
I thought they were going to be nicer to you with the schedule.
Yeah, well, I don't know exactly what nice is under these circumstances, but you're looking for checks all over the place. So, it's one of those kind of deals where we need to buckle up and get ready because it'll be tough, when we go to any of these places that we play at early in 2022.
Yeah, you're right. You got a Thursday night game at Central Florida, and then back down to Florida for Bethune-Cookman, and then North Carolina A&T will be a very difficult opponent, and then USC on October the 1st.
Yeah. I think we got enough of a schedule that will kind of keep our interest, a little bit.
I would say so. So, what is ahead for you and your staff here in the weeks to come as you head towards the summer and I guess some summer camp time and things like that?
Yeah, well, we're trying to get our guys to go home, our players to go home for about a month and take a little bit of a break. So they'll be out of the system for at least until the 1st of June. And then we'll get out and do some of the high school recruiting. We'll get out and get in all of the high schools, that kind of stuff in the state of South Carolina. And then at that point, we'll get a little bit of time off. So I'm looking forward to getting out and seeing a few prospects myself. It's fun to go out and watch these kids practice and that kind of stuff. So we'll do that a little bit of a while, and then we'll take a little bit of time off.
You feel like you guys, and May 1st is coming up, so you feel like you guys have survived poaching season?
Well, let's hope so. We've got a good many of our guys going in and doing these internships for some of the pro teams for, a month or so, that kind of stuff. Jonathan Saxon right now is the one who's on his way to Seattle for the month of May. And we got another couple guys that look like they'll be doing some of that kind of stuff too. So, that's been the biggest worry. Somebody gets out there, they really like it, want to keep it, But in most cases, I think we'd be okay.
No, I was actually talking about your players, other teams poaching your players out of the transfer portal.
No. Our guys don't believe in that kind of stuff. We don't even know what that transfer portal is. We've actually had a guy too. We had a defensive end to go into the portal, and he's a graduate guy who just wanted to try something different. We had a guy a couple years back who went up to not Northwestern, but to Illinois and played. And he's back down here every day, hanging out, missing our place, that kind of way. So, it's not been that big a deal for our guys. They kind of seem to like what we do, and we treat them pretty good. So hopefully we can continue to keep our guys on the farm.
One last thing, we'll let you go. So with the changes coming to the NCAA, with the president now stepping down, and going to be new leader. What do you hope from where you sit? What do you hope they do? What kind of organization do you hope they form moving forward?
Well, you know what, Phil? It's gotten to be so much more student athlete friendly here in the last couple of years that I think the pendulum swung a little far that direction with some of the buy and sell kind of NIL stuff. But you know what? It's fun just kind of seeing, how we adapt to whatever the rules are when they figure it out. So, it's not necessarily something that they give the guys our size a lot of, opportunities to say yeah or nay about. It's going to be settled a lot farther over our heads, over our pay grade. So, we'll figure it out and continue to do the very best we can given the circumstances.
Did you
once they figure it out?
Did you ever think in your college life, having grown up in the game as a player and as a coach, that you would see the day when college players would actually be paid not just a few $100s or $1,000, but getting $800,000, $900,000 contracts, and it being a part of the recruiting process?
Yeah, no, I didn't think it would be quite this rampant. Once it got going, a couple of those guys, jumped from 0 to 100. Before we could even figure the thing out. So I think sometimes that's why they do it that way, because they're trying to get ahead of the ball game before, they actually kind of reel some of that stuff in. I think they'll do a little bit of legislation to figure some of that kind of stuff out. But besides the fact that, that guys will be guys, you just got to go ahead and let these guys kind of sort this out.
Yeah. Well, we thank you as always. And if anybody deserves a break, it's you and your staff and your guys, because y'all been going at it long and hard. So enjoy a little bit of a respite. Enjoy getting out this spring and watching some high school. We'll be seeing you soon, I'm sure, at some events around the state, and then getting ready for 2022.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all so much for having me.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Always a pleasure. Buddy Pugh, he's still there at South Carolina State. They tried to write him off a few years ago. Remember that? Many times. And he's like, nope, I'm back another year. Nope, I'm back another year. You know what? They're glad he's back another year. And who knows how much longer he'll go.
I've got an opinion trivia to throw at you, dovetailing off of Jacoby Durant.
Look, tell you what, can you hold it for a second?
I can. It's about Lamar.
It's kind of like going to the bathroom. It's like going
through Lamar.
It's like going pee-pee. Can you hold it for a minute?
I can. I'll cross my legs.
All right, we got to go to a break. I don't want to get us too far behind. So you hold that. Don't think of warm running water or anything across your toes. I used to do that to my kid when we were in a car and he had to go. I said, just think of warm running water right across your feet and see how that feels. All right, we'll come back and hear what Chris has for us. We'll update baseball. South Carolina and Alabama underway, and they are in the top of the second. They are scoreless at this point. We're back in just a moment.
Founders Federal Credit Union knows your life is busy and your money is important. We are proud to offer local personalized services and convenient online services like Founders Online and the Founders app. You'll love being with us as much as we love serving you. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our 37 convenient locations to see if you qualify for membership with Founders. Relax, win with Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
The lady in black doesn't age. She just gets tougher. And NASCAR Throwback Weekend is when she likes to remind everyone just how they got here. Loud cars and louder colors, business up front and parties in the back. Over 70 years of history held together with one famous black stripe. Too tough to tame? I guess you'll have to find out. Darlington Throwback Weekend, May 6th through the 8th. Get your tickets at darlingtonraceway.com.
We're with Major Billy Downer of DNR. Of course, hunting is very popular across the state of South Carolina. Major Downer, what things should our hunters be thinking about before they get out in the fields?
It seems like every other show we're talking about hunting safety of some sort. Whether it's turkey season or deer season, hunters always need to be aware of their target. Make sure before you pull that trigger that you know what you're looking at. Whether it's a turkey during turkey season or a deer during deer season, you know your identifying features of your game. You know what's beyond that target in case you miss.
Learn more about the great outdoors in South Carolina with Major Billy Downer on SC Wild here on the Sports Talk Media Network. Back we are here on Sports Talk Media Network. A couple of other, and thanks to Buddy Pugh for being with us, a couple of other recruiting notes to pass along here from the last little bit that I've just seen. One in football, one in basketball. Cam Pringle, the big offensive tackle from Woodland, was offered by Auburn. And then South Carolina basketball, according to a report by Portal Updates, USC is one of the final two with 6'10" UCF transfer Jamil Reynolds. He was a sophomore who averaged about 3 points and 2 rebounds per game this season for UCF. So another player that USC is in the hunt with, Jamil Reynolds, and they're still in the hunt with Klesmit from Wofford. And I would imagine the player from UTC, Smith, right? Smith?
Southern Conference Player of the Year, wasn't he?
Smith, yeah. I haven't got his name recorded to memory yet, but I will eventually. They're in the hunt for him, so they've got some other opportunities out there in dealing with the transfer portal, John. Yes, sir. What was the trivia question you had?
Okay, I told you that when Jacoby Durant is selected in the NFL draft, whenever that occurs, and I think everybody agrees he will go and play in the NFL, he'll be the 6th player ever to come out of Lamar to make it to the NFL, which is remarkable on its own merits. Of the previous 5, Phil Kornbluth, because you've seen them all play, who do you believe was the best college player out of Lamar? John Abraham, B.J. Goodson, Levon Kirkland, Marshall McFadden, or Michael Hamlin?
Yeah. Boy, all good players. All good players. All, I think all went to the league. Well, that's right. You just said it. They all went to the league. Yeah.
Yep.
So who was the best? I don't know. I mean, with Levon, you get so influenced. Of course, John Abraham was a great pro. Both of them were great pros.
Right.
But Levon was just spectacular because he was so big, and he wore number 99, and he ran down running backs, and he weighed 290 pounds, whatever he wore, whatever he weighed back then as a linebacker. We're going to see Levon tomorrow night up at the Football Hall of Fame induction.
He's a neat
ceremonies.
guy. I've had a chance to meet him. He's a neat guy.
They don't come any better than Levon Kirkland.
And intimidating, too, because of how big he is.
And so, and John Abraham, what's funny is John Abraham was a skinny little thing. I say skinny little thing. He was just skinny as a post coming out of Lamar. He actually was from Darlington, but he went to Lamar High School. Probably lived out in the country between the two.
Yeah.
And I talked to him when he was a high school senior at the North-South game back then and tried to do an interview with him. And I mean, that was like pulling teeth out of a hog. I mean, you just couldn't get him. He just didn't say very much. He was really quiet. He was that way at South Carolina for the most part, too. Quiet, shy, reserved, but developed into a great defensive end, both in college and in the NFL. So I'd have to go with Levon. At the end of the day, I'd have to go with Levon. What would you say?
Can't argue that. I don't know. I mean, because I guess it depends on what you like in terms of defensive players. I mean, Michael Hamlin was an amazing player himself. Just didn't play the same position that Kirkland and Abraham.
He played safety. He was safety.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Well,
think you can flip a coin and you wouldn't be wrong.
Well, I tell you what, you look at Levon Kirkland's career numbers in the NFL, 176 games. He had 775 solo tackles, 19 and a half sacks, started 155 games, had 11 interceptions. He had 9 fumble returns, 1 for a touchdown, 19 and a half sacks, 1,026 combined tackles.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah, 1,026 combined tackles. That's pretty impressive. That's over a 11-year career, 9 with Pittsburgh, 1 in Philly, and 1 in Seattle.
Did you say 11 interceptions?
He had 11 career interceptions.
That may be the most impressive part of his entire resume.
Well, because he ran so well, they would drop him back. They would drop him back into coverage. Now, let me take a look here at John Abraham. Great player, of course. And you know what? I said Darlington. He's actually listed as being born in Timmonsville. I don't want to shortchange anybody. So he played 192 games, started 175. He had one interception, and he had 560 total tackles. But now, so weigh that. It depends on how you want to weigh this. He had 560 total tackles to Levon's 1,000 and something, but he had 133 and a half sacks in his career. 133 sacks in 192 games. That's over 15 years. Atlanta, the Jets, and Arizona. He had 68 and a half sacks with Atlanta, 53 and a half with the Jets, 11 and a half with Arizona. So I don't know. How do you overall tackles, interceptions, or sack master? They both were great with their individual talents. That's a very good question, though. Very good question.
And
you couldn't go wrong with either one.
Both have received votes for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Neither have been inducted, but they both received votes. So maybe time will tell if either of them are ever inducted.
John Abraham also forced 47 fumbles, 133 and a half sacks, and 47 forced fumbles. That's pretty doggone impressive.
I lived in the backfield.
All right, Gamecocks have taken a 1-0 lead. Top of the third, Eister with the homer to right. Gamecocks go up on Alabama 1-0. Top of the third, and we'll be back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We'll cool down to 52 degrees, have a few clouds rolling in. Now, tomorrow, it's a mix of sun and clouds, the temperature reaching 80 as our high. And looking to the weekend, we'll have temperatures Saturday and Sunday in the lower to mid 80s. It'll be a mix of sun and clouds with a slight 30% chance of afternoon showers both days. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Aiken-Cochran. As Miss America, I know that taking care of yourself is important. Part of taking care of your health is knowing if you're at risk of type 2 diabetes. Prediabetes is serious and puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes. 90% of South Carolinians who have it don't know they have it. Visit inittogethersc.org. Take an online test to find out your risk and join a diabetes prevention program. Brought to you by the Diabetes Action Council of South Carolina.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm a retired firefighter, and I have been retired for about 6 years. I've had a lot of damage done to my body over the course of my employment, and I'm coming up on my first year anniversary of taking Balance of Nature. And I'm agile and energetic, and the doctors and the physical therapists are amazed. They're like, you don't even need us. I don't think I would be doing half as well as I'm doing if I hadn't had extra nutrition from Balance of Nature to help my body heal itself.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature right now. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com for more information or to place your order. Shipping is always free. And don't forget to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer by using discount code BALANCE.
When it comes to firearms, ammunition, and accessories, some things are changing. Well, fortunately, some things haven't changed a bit. I'm talking all about Shooter's Choice in West Columbia. What has never and will never change is the customer service. Top notch with the staff that has decades of experience in the firearms industry. This staff actually hunts and shoots regularly. For over 30 years, Shooter's Choice has never lost that hometown feel and never felt like shopping at some big box store. What has changed? Well, technology. If you'd rather spend your money on firearms than gas, go online to SportsTalkSC.com and check out a great website that's easy to navigate 24/7. Be the first to get items as they are received at the store. Be the first to get that newest production model ordered before it even enters the retail store. Come pick it up at your convenience. Sign up for notifications of new products and special inventory. It's all at ShootersChoiceSC.com. So come on in and see the team at Shooter's Choice, 944 Sunset Boulevard, or visit online. Either way, you'll see what I'm talking about. Make your first choice, your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
When you're a military veteran with over 40,000 organizations trying to help you, it can be hard to find the right information. That's why AARP brings together valuable resources to help you navigate your options. AARP.org/veterans. With the free veteran employment and fraud prevention resources, caregiving tools, and access to discounts, AARP On a mission to support veterans, visit aarp.org/veterans today.
Honey, did you see the gas prices as you drove home from work today?
I did. They are getting ridiculous.
Good thing for us, we don't have to go anywhere to get our medicine.
That's right. Ever since we switched to True Pharmacy, they have delivered all of our medicine for free.
Not only that, every time we buy anything at True Pharmacy, including our prescriptions, we get loyalty points.
Aren't those great? We get to use our loyalty points to buy other over-the-counter items.
Yes, this month I used them for our multivitamins.
I sure am glad we switched to True Pharmacy. True Pharmacy, 2 locations to serve you, West Columbia and Columbia on Divine.
Does your kitchen look like a scene out of a 1970s TV show? Is it time to modernize things with a fresh look? Let me strongly suggest you consider my friends over at Stone Interiors. And yes, these are folks I've known a long time, first as their customer and for many years as a partner right here at The Point. They turned our countertops into the centerpiece of our entire kitchen. Stone Interiors checks all the boxes. They're locally owned and operated, so they're here for 20 years and they stand by their work. They have the widest selection of granite, marble, and quartz to go with their incredible workmanship on counters, outdoor kitchens, tile flooring, backsplashes, and a whole lot more. Great selection, tremendous care for their work to go with a design staff to help you from start to finish on your next project. You don't have to have a Brady Bunch kitchen anymore. Climb into 2022. Give yourself a beautiful countertop. Give yourself a great summer with an outdoor kitchen. Go visit and see for yourself online at stoneinteriors.com or give them a call, make an appointment, watch what Stone Interiors can do for you. 461-8950, 461-8950.
All right, we continue with Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. 888-898-2525 is the phone number. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. And let's continue with your phone calls here for a few more minutes. Going to play some of the David Tepper audio from yesterday. The owner of the Panthers didn't get a chance to get to it last night. Still pertinent about the Panthers, Rock Hill, Wofford, the draft, and everything else. We go to Andy in Columbia. Next up here on Sports Talk. Andy, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing good, Corn. I hope you and Chris and Pat are doing well.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
glad you gave me the warning of Mr. Tepper because I'll put on my boots and put my feet up on the desk because I'm sure it's going to be full of BS.
It's pretty
Overflowing.
deep. I'll give you credit for that.
There's no doubt in my mind that's one of the biggest liars to walk at the planet Earth at this moment in time. And not to mention how much tax dollars he's already stolen from South Carolina. But that's not the reason of my call. I got 2 things I want to touch on. One's the NFL draft and one's South Carolina basketball. First, the NFL draft is just really a statement. I'm kind of surprised you don't have Dr. Rick Sanford, the first number 1 draft pick out of South Carolina tonight, just to discuss what it's like sitting there wondering. I know back in his day, they sent you word by pigeon to let you know that you were a number 1 pick. But I'm just still wondering, we could get a little feedback from Dr. Rick. I'm surprised you didn't reach out to him, or maybe he just snubbed you. I'm just not sure about
Possibly
that.
he did.
My other question is this. So far through the transfer portal, I might be wrong, but the tallest person that we have gotten is 6'6". Is that correct? The young man from Coastal? Is he 6'6"?
6'6" point guard.
Okay. So, who are we going to get to play the inside of the game in South Carolina? Because the only people we have remaining, if I'm wrong, and tell me if I am, Mr. Corn, I'm sure you will, is Gray, Minot, and Benson. Aren't those the only inside players we have left?
That is correct.
Left?
And I just mentioned
So
a transfer
what kind-
portal player. I just mentioned a 6'10" kid from UCF who reportedly is down to South Carolina in Temple.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you, if there was another player, another couple. But do you still think with just those 4? What kind of set does Lamont Paris play? Is it more of a heavier guard set that he plays in his lineup? Do you happen to know, or Chris, could you tell us from what you know from what he had at UTC?
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Gosh, I don't know. I have not seen his teams play at Chattanooga outside of the Southern Conference game against Wofford. You almost had to play a bunch of guards to keep up with Wofford from the 3-point arc. But, Andy, the game has changed so much That the days of a 6'10" post player playing with his back to the basket, I mean, that's going by the wayside with the peach basket itself. I'm not so sure you need many players over 6 feet, 7 inches tall.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at what we have coming back from last year and their contributions or lack of thereof contribution, that if, they better have a lot of improvement in their inside game, or we're not going to have any type of inside game whatsoever.
Well, this is
Am I
true.
wrong?
This is true. Yeah, nothing in that group coming back would excite you except for Gray's potential, maybe, because here again, you're talking about a guy that the recruiting experts pinned as a 4-star guy coming out of high school, heavily recruited, ended up at LSU, big time program. And, he's far from a major contributing player from what I've seen. He has some flashes here and there, but I don't know what some people look at when they assign star ratings to some players. They just, I just don't know what they're looking at when you see him in person and you see him at this level. So, I mean, maybe he'll get a lot better in the offseason. Maybe the coaching that he'll take from Paris and the staff will improve him. He's got a long way to go. Same thing with Benson. And, Minot is the main thing for him. I was impressed with him. You can tell he's a hard worker because he definitely changed his body. He tightened up and got thinner, and he's got some skills. But he's very, very raw as well. So you bring up an excellent point. They are very weak. They look very weak inside at this point with that group.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of worried about, and that's why I asked you. I was talking to Pat when you're going through the transfer portal. I thought I might have missed one, and that's why I was asking. But Braswell just took one deep, just to let you know.
2-0 Gamecocks bomb the third, 2 home runs. Braswell, homer to left.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, y'all have a wonderful evening. Thank you for that information. I just thought maybe Chris might enlighten us on what type of style we could look at playing, but, maybe
I think Pat's got some information on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, just before you go real fast, remember he was an assistant under Bo Ryan at Wisconsin, and Bo Ryan himself, when he was asked about what UT Chattanooga should expect from Lamont Paris when he was first hired there, he said that he saw a lot of Tony Bennett and Greg Gard in him. Greg Gard, of course, took over for Bo Ryan at Wisconsin, but they still run that kind of slow, methodical, pass the ball around until you get the best shot, not the first open shot. Very slow, methodical, defensive-driven teams. And then Tony Bennett, of course, a similar style at Virginia now. So if we're going by what Bo Ryan said at Wisconsin, and if you look at what he did at Chattanooga, Lamont Paris, that is, expect a similar strategy or game plan to what you see when you watch Wisconsin or Virginia.
All right,
thank you. Is that a 3-guard set or is that a 2-guard set with?
I think you adapt to your personnel.
Mm-hmm.
And this personnel tells me they're going to play 4 around 1.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a 4-1 right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it looks like. All right, we got to run. Thank you very much. And we appreciate your phone call. We go to Sam. Sam in Charleston. Sam, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Doing great. How are you guys doing? Well, and it's pretty hot down here today.
Yeah, it's pretty hot here too.
Hey, I have a 2-part question about what he just said about the NFL draft tonight at 8 o'clock. The number one thing I want to tell you is I have 2 things. One is when is the Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock? And that's what I want to know. Number 2, are we seeing more quarterbacks at the Pittsburgh Steelers? Because I know Ben Roethlisberger got retired, and I want to know if you. I want you, Pat. I want Pat and Corn to talk about this week. I got some breaking news from college, and it's really sad. Brevin Galloway's transferring to UNCW.
Who? Brevin Galloway?
Yeah, he's.
He's. He left before last season and went to Boston College.
He did?
Yes, and now he's transferring to Clemson.
Well, Corn, here's my intake about Brevin. I met Brevin Galloway when I was with Coach Orgren, was here a couple years ago. And I got to tell you, he's a great ball player. I mean, it's just like checking up threes, UBA shots, kind of stuff. Oh, did you guys hear about the new signees for basketball season next year?
Yeah, we've already covered that about the Cougars. They got bringing in a couple of new guys. And by the way, Sam, the Steelers will pick 20th in the first round tonight.
If they don't trade out of the first round.
If they don't trade out of the first round, of course. But they are scheduled to pick between the Saints and the Patriots. Oh, I hope they take somebody the Patriots really want. That's what I hope. All right, thank you, Sam. Appreciate your phone call. Going to hit a break here, and a little David Tepper coming up on the other side. In the meantime, we'll tell you, South Carolina 2-0 and threatening on Alabama. Gamecocks have first and second and one out in the bottom of the third, and they are leading 2-0 thanks to a pair of home runs. Eister has one, and Braswell has one. And we'll be back. David Tepper comments coming up.
Life. It has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
The lady in black doesn't age. She just gets tougher. And NASCAR Throwback Weekend is when she likes to remind everyone just how they got here. Loud cars and louder colors, business up front and parties in the back. Over 70 years of history held together with one famous black stripe. Too tough to tame? I guess you'll have to find out. Darlington Throwback Weekend, May 6th through the 8th. Get your tickets at darlingtonraceway.com.
All right, draft beginning on the way in about 15 minutes or so. Guys like David Tepper, owner of the Panthers, probably a nervous time for them. You want to get it right. You know you're going to be spending a bunch of money, Chris. And he went on the so-called media hot seat yesterday, did he not, to take questions from the media about a variety of things?
Well, it was sort of the typical, let's get ready for the draft from the owner of the Panthers, who really doesn't, I don't know how much ownership has control over what is selected in the NFL draft versus how much, say, Matt Rule and the GM and the front office staff have. But, yeah, he stepped up to the microphone yesterday and opened up and talked about all the great things going on with the Panthers, including very, very confident that Sam Darnold can get it done at quarterback. He was also pressed on the mess at Rock Hill, which he avoided quite well, I should add. But here's a little bit of what Carolina Panthers owner David Tepper had to say yesterday. Looking forward to tonight's NFL draft.
Just first off, I just want to say the place is buzzing. We're all excited about the draft coming up tomorrow. I want to thank Scott and Matt and all the coaches and scouts for the preparation they did for the draft. And actually also on an excellent free agency. I think we did a pretty good job this year there. I also, I want to thank Matt. I want to compliment him, thank him for the real progress toward winning this season. I want to compliment him on assembling a new staff that brings a lot more experience than we had with the old staff, including two former head coaches, Coach Wilkes, who's going to be in the DB room, Coach McAdoo, offensive coordinator. Campen was a great hire as offensive line. Pascaloni on the defensive line, and Tabor and special teams coordinator. I think that, all great hires, a wealth of experience. Excited about them. I think that just has to be recognized. Hasn't been recognized enough in the press out there. And look, I believe in Matt, and he has my full support. Just want to also just say one thing up front. On Rock Hill, we released a statement already. and we will respect the city of Rock Hill's request not to have a back and forth in the public about it. They requested it. We're going to respect it. Just generally, I think if people look at the way we have put the free agency roster together, what we've done in the offensive line and other places, they should be excited going into the draft and where we are. One last thing, I just want to the players, I just want to say thank you for last season. I'm looking forward to this season. I think we should all be excited about it. To the fans, I would say the same thing, and I want to just thank you for your support last season and ongoing support. I know we're all passionate about this, and I know that sometimes that passion goes different ways, but I do appreciate your support. Anyways, with that, I'll open up for questions.
Hey, Dave, good to see you. I appreciate what you said about Matt, but they have had consecutive 5-win seasons. So how much does the 2022 season figure into his long-term security?
This is a new season, and I just went through the setup for the season, how I think we're set up as a team, how we're set up with new coaches. I'm excited for the season. Like it's a brand new season. It just opens up. In my other world, every year is a new year, and this is a new year. I forget there's a saying, what was then is then, what is now is now, okay? And we're in the now. We're not in the then.
And understanding what you went through with a former owner here, what made you comfortable with pursuing Deshaun Watson, and how critical does the quarterback position remain for this team?
I'm not going to talk about players on other teams for a lot of various reasons. Quarterback position is always the most important position on the field. And as Scott Fitter has mentioned many times, we're always looking.
Do you know how you would define success in this year's season?
Look, I think it's just a question of how we progress season to season. And I would look from progress from last season to this season, progress on the field, how we're playing. And obviously, everybody's concerned about winning and wins and losses. That has to play into it, no doubt. But as what's most important is creating a foundation for future winning. And that's what we're going to look for, to the foundation from the first year to the second year to the third year. There's progress that we're going to get there. And, that's, I think, is the most important. And listen, there's no kidding, I can say about it, but winning does play into to an extent.
Wanted to follow up to the last time we talked to you in this setting, you talked about pushing and finding a Super Bowl winning caliber quarterback. Which of the guys in this draft do you think are capable of that? And if not, are there any guys out there available via trade that you think might?
Listen, that's a question for Scott Fitters, first, not a question for me first. Just want to say one thing. I do think we have a very good quarterback in Sam Darnold, just as an aside. Wasn't your question, but I'll just say that. But again, you should really, when you see Scott again, ask him that question. That's his question, not mine.
Dave, I know you said you didn't want to go into a back and forth, but just for a factual question on Rock Hill, the city manager of Rock Hill said that at one point that they were ready to go with Bonds, and the Panthers recommended that they not do that. Is that correct? Is he right about that?
Again, I'm going to respect Rock Hill here, okay? They made the request. I'm going to respect it. We want to sit down with these guys and have a conversation. I'm going to respect their request. I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
Okay. Let me follow up then. Just from a broader standpoint, Dave, with whatever you decide to do, whether you're in Rock Hill or you decide to build your training center in Pittsburgh or wherever you prefer to have it, what's the timeline in terms of needing that? Because I think you've talked about that being essential for the competitive side of the football operation.
Well, I think Scott, just to back up, I think it was yesterday, Scott went through things we've done on scouting and money we put into scouting with personnel and other things. So I think he went through that yesterday. We're constantly putting new equipment in. If you go down there, you'll see equipment. So we're constantly upgrading all the time. Okay, and we constantly will do that, not to have lose anything on that front. And we're doing it again this year. So we'll do what we need to do to make sure we have competitive facilities inside this building. And And that's where we are. And you can see, if you really came over here, you can go talk to Scott again, and he'll show you different things we do every year. He talked to you about scouting yesterday, I think, right? And went into specifics. And again, a question for him, but I know, because I pay for it, that there is new things down there, okay?
But you don't plan a 50-acre training center complex headquarters and replace it with something in the stadium. Those are not equivalent.
Listen, again, we're going to make sure we have very competitive equipment here, okay? That we have no doubt that we can win with.
All right, David Tepper. People love to hammer rich people, don't they? Love to come at them left and right with the questions, and they don't believe the answers. They come back with the questions. Good stuff. It's good stuff. But you know what? His voice never went up. He never got angry. He stayed cool, calm, and collected. He would not touch the Rock Hill situation. He says to respect them. I don't know if that's respecting them or just an easy out for him not to answer it.
But my question is, and he was pressed on this considerably, as you just heard. You talked a lot about the new facility in Rock Hill, and it was going to rival what the Cowboys have out in Dallas. And now you're talking about putting in new equipment into your current setup out, at the stadium. I mean, the question about that's just not, equitable, made a lot of sense to me. And again, this is a he said situation. I don't know that we'll ever hear the full truth as to whether the Panthers defaulted on their side or the city of Rock Hill or York County faulted on its side. Probably doesn't matter at this point in time, Phil, but I'm really curious where we go from here, though. I mean, the current project is dead. Does that mean, though, the Panthers moving into South Carolina, coming across the border, is also dead? And will they set up shop in, say, Gastonia, or start moving east and maybe put their training camp in Raleigh, which I'm sure the folks in Raleigh would love, considering how much they enjoy the people in Charlotte. That'd be a nice little rivalry. But I don't know that we get another crack or bite at the apple here in South Carolina after this mess and all the dust settles. I'm not sure Tepper's going to want to bring anything here into the state.
All right, let me update a couple of things. Gamecocks up 5-0 on Alabama. Gamecocks playing long ball tonight. They've got 3. Seitler has got a 3-run homer, and Eister's got a solo homer, and Braswell has got a solo homer. So great start for the Gamecocks, top of the 4th. They are up 5-0.
Yeah, that home run Josiah Seitler hit reminded me of some that Justin Smoke used to bomb out of the ballpark. He hit it out of the stadium. I think it landed on what Ray Tanner Way, isn't that the one that runs behind right field at Founders Park?
I think you're right. I thought I heard something
hit.
That
ball landed.
Thought I heard something hit the building here on Millwood Avenue. Maybe that was
he
it.
Crushed that ball.
Down in Mexico, they are playing the Mexico Open at Vedanta in Vallarta, Mexico. It's my Spanish.
Very nice.
Jonathan Bird and Bryson Nimmer, a couple of former Tigers, are tied for the lead with 3 others, 7 under 64. John Rahm, Brendan Todd, and Trey Mullenix. Those 5 are 7 under 64. Aaron Ray, Aaron Wise, they are at 6 under 65, along with Heath Thigala. And Scott Brown is right there at 6 under 65. As for others, we've got Wesley Bryan. Good start for him. 3 under 68. Tommy Gainey, 2 gloves, 2 under 69. Bill Haas, 1 under 70. DJ Trahan, even par 71. And Ben Martin is at plus 172. All right. How about the rise for tonight's draft? The Jags with the first pick. And they're talking about Walker from Georgia being the number 1. Now, nobody talked about him being the number 1 pick in the draft, say, after the season. No one talked about him being the number 1 draft right after the combine. I mean, I wonder what it is, what it was. Maybe in his private workouts, they saw some things that they think are fantastic that they've got to have in Jacksonville.
Well, with teams getting an opportunity to sit down and visit with these draft prospects, Phil, he may have based the interview. And then obviously he's got talent. So they all have talent at this level. But he may have aced the interview. And it also falls into what does the team that's picking number 1 need? If this is a year ago, there are no defensive guys up first because it was Trevor Lawrence, whomever selected, with the exception of probably 5 or 6 teams They were going to select Trevor Lawrence. Now they've got to fill some other holes, and he just fits the bill. Kayvon Thibodeau is an interesting one, too, because the player at Oregon, I think he's a rush end, if I'm not mistaken. He was a guy that probably a year or so ago they said would be this year's number 1 draft pick, and now he's fallen to second or third in some of the mock drafts, which, I mean, that's not terrible. It avoids going to Jacksonville, so maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing.
You know, why wouldn't you want to go play in Jacksonville? I mean, they do
I
have
love
some
the
good
city.
young players, yeah. And they start winning, the fans will remember. They got good really fast, just like the Panthers did. The Panthers, remember, within a couple of years, they were playoff bound, and then before you know it, they were in a Super Bowl, and Jacksonville was equally quick at getting to the postseason, like a couple, 3 years or so into their existence, right?
Both teams made their respective conference championship games. It was either their second or third season.
Yeah. Cubs and Braves are 1-1, top of the third, and D-backs and Cardinals are scoreless in the first. If you missed the big news of the day, Yankees beat the Orioles 10-5.
And back to the Gamecocks.
Of course, everybody beats the Orioles. Who doesn't beat the Orioles? The P-15s beat the Orioles.
Hey, by the way, the new women's basketball coach at Coastal, Kevin Pedersen, former Lander head coach, he's a gigantic Orioles fan. He's a true dyed-in-the-world Baltimore Orioles fan.
I feel sorry for him.
I asked him about.
I
By
have
the way,
absolute sympathy for him.
Gamecocks coming into tonight had hit just 36 home runs in 39 games. They have 3 here tonight. Power surge for sure.
Bama gets a run, top of the fourth. It's 5-1. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow from up in Greenville at the Hall of Fame.